So I know we're standing in between you guys and lunch, so we're going to make this very entertaining for you. So thank you all for being here today. I know everyone has traveled in from across the world. I personally have come in from the United States, so I think everyone's on a slightly different time zone today. So just to start with some introductions, my name's Erin Pearson. I am the VP of Marketing at Evalueserve. And with us today, we have Niccola Stump, who is the Global Customer Insights Manager at Thermo Fisher Scientific. And she works primarily with qualitative and quantitative market research that forms the basis of a lot of the strategic decisions that they are making and the brand positioning that they go to market with. Additionally, on the panel, we have Swaraj, who is the client director at Evalueserve, and he has been working in the pharma area for about 13 years now within consulting and research and analytics. So just to jump right in to the panel and to set the scene, how have you guys been seeing competitive intelligence evolve over the past 5 years? Niccola, we can start with you.
Yeah, so I think what impacts the most is that we live in a VUCA world, which stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. As we heard also this morning, 90% of all the world's information was developed during the past 2 years. So that means many providers are out there, many products, moreover, more areas and markets are being explored and targeted. Also, technologies have been growing in the past and accelerated trends. And for CI, it means that you really have to adapt to this acceleration. You have to discover various sources of information, spend really time and effort to keep on track with this rapidly changing developments and trends. Also, artificial intelligence is being used to capture the tons of information, analyze everything in parallel, and help us with the information. Compared to the past, I would say you need really clear responsibilities for your CI process. You need an implemented process on an ongoing basis. It's not something you can easily look up for in a 10 minutes time slot. And we also recognize that topics have been changing in the last years. So for example, in the diagnostic area where I'm working at, we see a trend more to B2C, where formerly it was B2B only, and now it is both. Also, digital initiatives have evolved tremendously. And CI can really help you identify the trends, monitor the markets closely, and gives us guidance on which strategic areas to look at and what a company should evaluate and consider.
And Swaraj, what about how have you seen it developing?
I concur with Niccola, and this is exactly in line with our observation as a service provider. You know, a lot of clients come to us with similar problem statement as to how do you keep themselves abreast on the trend, and how do you separate out the noise with the piece of data that you have and pull out the relevant information? That's very important. Now, how do you do that? That's the underlying statement. This cannot happen with news parsing, going through alerts, reports. This cannot be sufficiently comprehensive. You need to really be on top of it. I think there are 3 major things that need to address. Yeah, you need to have a standard process in place as to how you gather the intel, separate out the noise, and then you have the relevant information ready for consumption. Second, a right framework in terms of the right KPIs. Are you addressing the right KPI? It has to be quantifiable as well. And the last, we are talking about the insights. That's the crux of it. That should be able to tell you how is the market trend going in, what is real, what is winnable, and how aligned it is with company's strategy. That's super important. As mentioned by Niccola, the volatility of the market, this could be situational, this could be momentary, but it also, we cannot rule out the possibility that it could become mainstream and could impact the industry by very large, right? So, yeah.
Great. So really, in summary, markets are changing at a pace faster than ever before. Things are digitizing faster. You have to respond faster. There's more competitors coming to the market. There's more disruptions happening. So having the right structure and frameworks in place are really what's critical. So specifically within Thermo Fisher, you work in the diagnostics space, which is a bit more specialized as well. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you're seeing within gathering competitive intelligence within this space?
Yeah, I would say in the diagnostic area, it's challenging to get information. It's more challenging than in other industries because the public information is more limited. There are also more private companies out there where information is more limited. And a way to approach that is, I would say, you also have to discover various channels. So you can, for example, listen to interviews, look at social media, go to congresses, have conversations, and so on. And in terms of the actioning on competitive intelligence, it goes in hand with what before mentioned. So the challenge is that there's a rapidly changing environment. So you have to work agile with the developments and trends to keep on track. But on the other hand, there are long timelines, regulations, for example, FDA submissions and regulations. Approvals take a long time. So yeah, to work on that together is difficult. And I think the key is to really think ahead about what trends could emerge.
Additionally, lack of industry standard databases is something that we definitely miss here. And now, because this is lacking, it becomes so very important for the CI team to have a knowledge management process in place in order to, how do you really gather your intel and then separate out the noise, get to the relevant contextualized information. That's very important, right? I feel the diagnostic industry is quite consolidated, but the local and the regional players coming in and with the emerging and disruptive technology that they're coming up with, I wouldn't be surprised if the market dynamics is quite different from what we see. So catching up with the pulse of the industry is very important, as mentioned by Niccola. Tracking or thinking about what possibly the trend would emerge is the key.
Yeah, so really what we're looking at is there's a lot of private companies, so you have to get pretty creative with how you're actually gathering the intelligence that you have. So within Thermo Fisher, how have you prioritized your competitive intelligence program to alleviate some of these challenges that you see commonly happen?
Yeah. As said, you need a clear process and responsibilities here. And yeah, I think what we are good at is that we spend that time and effort since many years. And I can tell you a bit of the story of the approach we went through until we now have a very good database that we want to share with you. And it all started in 2015, where we got requests for competitive intelligence information by our divisional president, corporate functions in regards to specific competitor profiles about their product portfolios, R&D activities they are looking at. But the information we could find were too broad, so we created specific profiles for our business. And those competitor profiles we then updated on an annual basis. But we got more and more requests from users to have this information more frequently, information about product launches, acquisitions, collaborations. So we introduced in 2017 a bi-weekly newsletter. And that's also where we came in touch the first time with Evalueserve, because it is very helpful and efficient for us to work with an external provider here. They support us with all the extensive desk research, monitor the markets closely, and create the reports for us that we then shared in the past as a PDF format to our users internally. So they could read through it, they filter out what information is relevant to them. And although they really appreciated that a lot on this ongoing regular basis, we struggled to have a central pool of CI information, an easy archive where you can search for information. Because you can imagine sometimes we got colleagues asking for some information they have read some weeks or months ago. And then it was cumbersome to go through these PDFs again and find this information. So the solution we then got here from Evalueserve was in 2019 a dashboard. And here it was easier to search by keywords the relevant articles, information you need. And in the last year, we even made a step further. We introduced an online digital platform, competitive intelligence platform from Evalueserve called Insights First. And this acts as a hub for all our competitive intelligence information. So we integrate the bi-weekly news, the competitor profiles, quarterly overviews, and yeah, this makes it very helpful. And it's all archived, searchable, it has an easy access. So it's a knowledge management platform, a self-service tool, but it's also a collaborational tool because it has great interactive functionalities. You can share, tag, like, comment on articles, and also our internal colleagues can upload their own information. We have a contract with Evalueserve in English language and also Chinese sources. But yeah, also when our local colleagues have some information, maybe from customer visits, they can upload this information as well, translate it. So this non-published information gets accessible for everyone. And yeah, that makes it even broader, and we have a great hub of competitive intelligence.
I think that's a really powerful story over the past 7 years, how you guys started to scale up your program, and you also didn't take too big of a bite in the beginning, and you kind of slowly did it. So Swaraj, over the past 13 years that you've been in the pharma space, you've been seeing that there's really 3 main problems that people are looking to solve for with this. Yeah. So what are those?
Yeah, and through these 3 points, I would reiterate what Niccola just mentioned. How to make a CI program successful, how to increase the effectiveness. One is you need to have a centralization of the CI information, single point of truth. This is so very important, right? Again, easy access to the relevant data, that becomes very important. I mean, there's a lot of information, but how do you reach to the information that you're looking for? And third and foremost important now, it's a game changer that we're talking about, the user empowerment, right? I mean, as you say, the self-service portal apps, this can be so powerful. You can imagine a situation. Standard reports are good, right? You have your standard reports ready, but imagine a situation your boss reaches out to you, asks for particular kind of analysis, which is not part of your standard report. You either go back to your service provider or your team. There's a lot of time that's spent during this process. With Insights First, what we say, you go onto the portal, you have all this relevant information already there, do your search. With bit of drag and drop, you can actually build your customized report on the go. This is a game changer. It is so very powerful. Additionally, we know this for the fact that there's tons of information now getting available, reports, news, everything, it's there. But how do you navigate between the information is a very important question that we need to address. With Insights First, we also have AI-enabled search engines, the proximity search and the fuzzy search, which helps you navigate very quickly. And not only on the portal, on the news listing or the articles, it also has the functionality to go inside the document that's kept on your server. So does the abstract search. So it's a game changer. It's very powerful.
So one of the things that we're very excited about is Thermo Fisher tonight is up for the CiMi Award for the Best Intelligence Tech. So for anyone who's going to the award ceremony tonight, we're going to try to coerce you to vote for Thermo Fisher tonight. And so with that in mind, what is the approach that you're taking to competitive intelligence with the hybrid model?
Yeah. As also Swaraj mentioned, it's very important to have Insights First, Insights First, the tool we use, helpful for our audience, for our internal stakeholders. And my team, Customer Insights and Strategy, is very closely connected to global marketing, R&D, leadership, and business and market development. So we are closely connected to them. We know their internal discussions, what research needs they have, what requests, and my team is then the interface between Evalueserve and our company, and that's great because yeah, we can directly translate and address this business and research needs in Insights First. And yeah, working with the domain expert here has really helped us improve the efficiency. We can focus on the strategic work while not letting anything drop. And whenever there is a new trend, a keyword that we want to explore more, we can address that in our regular calls with Evalueserve. We set them up, and we also use the regular calls to increase the functionalities. So we are looking at always how to improve, always how to make it a better user experience. And yeah, that's great.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, well, talking about the CI today is not just about tracking your competitors or knowing about them. It's actually the insight that gives you an edge, an advantage over the others, right? So you need to really have a holistic picture of the market, how the market is changing its gear. This is very important, right? What your customers are looking for, where is the current need versus the gap. You need to identify the gap. That's very important. Again, super critical now that has become now is talking about the latest emerging technology, the groundbreaking technology. You need to be vigilant about those because they have the potential to change the market dynamics altogether. So that's very important. With Insights First, as Niccola mentioned, it's a hybrid platform, yes. And of course, with a lot of information, you can navigate well between the platform. Again, with AI filters, it helps you generate automated summaries, and of course, nice visualizations could be done. That's definitely there. And of course, what we have also seen of late is conference coverage is coming out very strongly in addition to the traditional CI that has been done for a very long time now.
So with that in mind, the competitive intelligence that you have is there to serve a lot of different functions. So how are you actually looking at the adoption of these different teams and users, and what are you doing to improve the overall adoption across them?
Yeah, so as I told you, we started really with this sporadically gathered CI information with silos, and we now exceeded the single source of truth into what competitors are doing. We have analyst-created profiles and analytics. And yeah, to increase adoption, it really has to address the internal stakeholders. And as said, we are in close collaboration and contact with them. And yeah, so our internal customers actually appreciate it a lot. They know where to find their information. They use it on a regular basis, or they can look it up ad hoc for a specific project, or maybe to prepare for a customer visit. And yeah, so we also increased, or we leveraged this to use it for onboarding processes. So new employees can also look into it, learn something about the environment, about the markets and the competitors. And yeah, this competitive intelligence information gathered is really critical for our business decisions, such as future R&D spends, future portfolio focus, strategic decisions like M&A, and yeah, the self-service tool is also very, very good because it empowers also the local affiliates to add alerts, articles, share information with the whole internal community.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, adoption is so very important, a topic that needs a detailed discussion, right? Yeah. So a lot of companies are today making huge investment in terms of bringing new platform tools in place, right? But if it is not adopted well, there's loss in investment and everything. So you need to be very careful on it. Imagine a situation in a typical CI team, there are like 3 to 5 members sending out intel to over 500 employees within the company. And if the intel is not relevant, the adoption will definitely come down. It is not going to help you. You need to be very careful about adoption, right? So how do you take care of that? There could be few ways you can really be alert on it, right? For example, starting with data integration. Yeah? You need to have a CI centralization. You have to have single point of truth. That's very important. That will help you in increasing the adoption. Second would be, make mini videos, podcasts for your executive members. They can listen early in the morning and then keep themselves abreast of what's happening in the market. The third is very important. The CI review meetings could be, monthly or quarterly. Discuss it with your team. Make them engage. The engagement has to be high, and of course, you will see an impact on the adoption. The last one is the traditional way, sending newsletter, email alerts. We have seen this is working really well if you are able to serve your users the right set of information.
So one of the hardest questions, I feel like, and one that everyone tends to ask is, once you have your stakeholders and they're receiving CI, you're measuring the overall adoption. I think there's a series that people go through when they're starting to measure adoption and engagement. But kind of a notorious question is, how do you measure the ROI of what you're doing? So do you guys have any advice on how to measure the ROI and what you're doing?
Yeah, that's indeed a very good question, a very good topic. We have heard it also various times today. ROI to measure for CI is challenging because it often has a long-term impact. It can also has impact on various functions. But what we do to measure ROI with this Insights First platform is that we can see the analytics. So we look at engagement rates, click rates, and so on. But we also have a qualitative ROI, which I think is very helpful as well, because you get some more information by a survey that we send out about how it improved their daily work, for what are they using the information, what could be improved, and so on.
Yep. So
it's lunchtime. So if you could just literally...
This was the last question.
20 seconds.
20 seconds, yes, OK. So, OK, that's your ROI. You get return at the end, so lunchtime. So yeah, of course, just additionally, a few pointers. It's definitely difficult to measure ROI, but of course, talking about at the CI team level, you could have a look at the adoption, but it varies. It's a function of different teams. For executive senior management, it could be at a larger initiatives, how is the R&D spend happening, so on and so forth. So it definitely is interesting to know, but of course, it could be measured, yeah.
Are there any questions before we go to lunch? Well, thank you, everyone. I think, Niccola, it was great to hear your journey over the past 7 years and how you guys have really been working within your CI program to scale it up in increments.
Thank you.
And Erin, isn't it vote Thermo?
Vote Thermo.
Thank you very much. So I think we're back at 10 minutes past 2. Is that correct? Enjoy lunch.